With Vasyl Lomachenko pulling out of negotiations for a Tank Davis fight, Davis has now switched his attention ostensibly to Shakur Stevenson. Now I'm going to read a quote here from Josh Dubbin, the co-manager of Shakur Stevenson. In an interview with Boxing Scene, he said, "It's all up to Tank. The one thing about Shakur, he will take anyone you put in front of him. We're here and waiting and ready to negotiate. We'll know how realistic Davis and PBC's interest is by how financially viable they make it for Shakur. They know Shakur produced the highest rated ESPN card of the year, so they need to come correct. It's a fight Shakur really wants. He's been begging for it for a long time. What Shakur wants to do, let me say it plainly, is to unify at 135. The logical fights to make that happen are to fight the champions. The phone lines are open." So those are the words of Josh Dubbin, co-manager of Shakur Stevenson. That didn't sound good, because it already seems like there's going to be a dispute over who's worth what. He said that Shakur Stevenson did the highest numbers on ESPN in the past year or whatever. Yeah, but that weren't on pay-per-view. Tank Davis is a pay-per-view fighter. If Tank Davis was fighting, let's say, on regular ESPN, he doesn't fight on ESPN, but I'm just giving you an example. If he were to fight on regular ESPN, he would blow Shakur Stevenson's numbers out of the water. Wouldn't even be close. In order for this fight to get made, it's going to require compromise on both sides. Stevenson, of course, is going to have to accept B-side status. He's only got one belt, just like Tank. If he had, let's say, 3 belts, he could justifiably ask for a bit more money. But with just the 1 belt, same as Tank, and being nowhere near the commercial draw that Tank Davis is, he's firmly in the B-side category. Now, obviously, he can't allow Tank to be completely ridiculous. Like I say, it's going to require compromise on both sides. And you see, this is why belts actually are important in boxing. I'm not saying there should be multiple belts, but belts as a concept are important in boxing, and why it's bad for fighters to just disregard the belts and act like they're the best without them and cherry pick fights, basically. When fighters covet championship belts and when they're chasing undisputed, when that really means something to them, they tend to be more willing to compromise at the negotiating table. When fighters don't care about belts, why would you compromise? Because the other champion doesn't actually have anything you want, right? If you don't want the belts. What you're looking for is big paydays, a lot of the time, styles that you think are suited to you. Anyway, I hope that my skepticism here is misplaced and we actually get some movement on this matchup, because this is the fight I want to see most at 135. This fight would really test the skills of both, and it would also test the toughness of Shakur Stevenson, because that's something we haven't seen so far as a pro. Nobody's been good enough to test his toughness. So I got my fingers crossed, but I didn't like some of the things that Josh Dubbin was saying there already. And you already know that Tank's on some BS. I mean, that's just the way those guys stay over there in that little Mayweather circle, you know? They're always on some BS. Mayweather Promotions, but still, he's in their little circle. They've all got this similar mentality. This is definitely a situation that could do with some Saudi help, for sure. But in order for that to happen, I think Tank Davis is going to have to check his attitude a little bit, because there was an online exchange a few months back between Tank Davis and Turki Al-Sheikh. It weren't an argument or anything, but Tank Davis said something about wanting a certain amount of money and this, that, and the other, as if he was entitled to it. And Turki Al-Sheikh responded by saying something like, "You'll get a pair of boxing gloves. That's all we'll give you." So if Tank wants them Saudi paydays, he's going to have to be a bit more polite in his interactions, but I'm not sure if he's even capable of that. This guy's so ratchet, I don't think he knows how to be any other way. I'm not sure he can even pretend for the sake of getting a deal done. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this situation in the comment section below. What did you make of what Shakur Stevenson's co-manager said? Am I reading too much into it? Should I be more optimistic? At the end of the day, my level of optimism is contingent on the nature of the characters involved. Do you guys think this fight will happen? How do you see this situation playing out? Let me know. And before I go, I just want to tell you about this week's non-boxing content. I uploaded this video. It's about an hour and a half long, where I'm covering several different topics. I analyzed the incident with the Donald the other day. You guys know what I'm talking about. I talk about the female screw who was screwing around with an inmate, literally. I also talk about the manosphere, the changing demographics of the UK and the backlash against it, the anti-UK tourist protests in Spain and how they came about, and a few other topics as well. If you want to access this content, as well as hundreds of other exclusive podcasts and videos, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below.